It is I, the savior of boredom. Yes, we're back at it again. You guys know I just finished wrapping up the voice actor video, and while I was doing it, I came up upon Kariya, and I was like, wow, I forgot this dude existed. Now, I've been wanting to do a piece on Kariya for a while, but you know, between the way the show portrays him, how he kind of plays the backfield, and just how he doesn't get brought up that much in general, I kind of had that on the back burner. But now we're here. So, Kariya. Now, my initial thoughts on Kariya is that this is a really good dude. Cause you gotta understand, when I first got into Fate, I'm looking at the Magus thing like it's toxic, it's too self-serving. There's no reason that you should cast your family away or even devote yourself 100% and just throw everything else to the side. So in my mind, when I'm first watching him, I'm with him 100% of the way. I'm like, you know what? I can't really blame him for not wanting to partake in this dick measuring free-for-all. It's stupid. That's the way I'm looking at it. But now that I've sat with the series for so long, you come to realize that that's just the way that mages operate. In fact, it's a lot less often that you even see people involve humanity in the equation. So I like to put myself in their frame of mind and their thought process when I weigh out the good and the bad. Now, in his case, he wanted no part with the Magus lifestyle. So in his younger years, he parted ways, and this was fine all the way up until the point where he wanted to settle down. And the woman that he wanted to settle down with just so happened to be Ren's mother, Aoi. All of the women in the world that he could have chose, but he wanted Aoi. And this is before the kids were even in the picture. Look at the profile. Zoken is the reason that Kariya even met Aoi. He set that up. She was supposed to be the ideal mother for the Matous because of her extraordinary genes, but he walked away from the lifestyle. So Tokiomi beat him to it. And this is when the issues start to arise. He comes crawling back to Zoken and asking him for his help. Now, you know, being a mage is like the core foundation to being a person when you're in that type of family. So he spent all of these years away from the house and then tries to come crawling back. Zoken is looking at him like he's worse than scum. How dare you? Oh, now you got time for magecraft now that it's convenient for you. Now you gotta think, why did he want to become invested in the mage lifestyle now as opposed to back then? He sees his meal ticket, and this is the disgusting thing about it. Kariya tries to paint himself as the good guy when a lot of the things he does is literally for himself, like him over caring for the children. He's not doing that because he genuinely cares that much about Ren and Sakura. He's doing that to get in with Aoi. He's basically posing himself as a pick-me guy. Pick me, you should have picked me, not him. He's not even around. My brother, you look terrible out here. Are you really trying to sit here and use the kids as a meal ticket for you to get in with this woman that has already established that she does not want you? The audacity. Then he sits there and continues to act like, oh, I'm doing this for y'all. Everything that I do it for y'all. If the woman doesn't want you, that's it. There is no you saving yourself through the children. And I give Tokiomi a lot of flack for what he did with Ren and Sakura, but if you understand the reason that Aoi chose him, Tokiomi stands on business, okay? You can say, oh, well, you're just gonna leave them high and dry, but that's what she wanted. That's what Aoi chose to do. She chose to be in that lifestyle. Tokiomi himself, in the novel, he's admitted to the fact that he's not even that great as a mage. He knows that. It's all about the lineage. But like I said, he stands on business. And that's a hell of a lot more than you can say for Kariya. The better question is, Kariya, why should she choose you? Cause you're a good guy? If the only metric for being in a relationship was being a good guy, then everybody would be in a relationship. What do you even do? All of these years that you left the household and decided to not be a mage, what criteria do you have that you think that she should pick you over Tokiomi? Do you have a job? Can you build something? Do you have some type of specialty that we don't know about? If anything, if we look at your resume, all we're seeing is all the reasons that she should not pick you. It's literally sickening as a man to watch him drag his face through the dirt to run behind Aoi, and that's the exact reason why she doesn't want you. I could see if you chose another route and said, okay, I don't want to be a part of the Magus lifestyle, I'll do something else with myself. You go away, you come back, and you establish this high role in the business industry. That would have been good. Or maybe with Zoken, you understand that the way that Zoken does things shouldn't be applicable to the average human. I don't want to do Magecraft his way. I'll find my own way and come back and surprise him. At least I won't come back with nothing. You decide to deviate from the mage path and come back with zero. You came back empty-handed, a bum, a bozo. Why should they feel sorry for you? And then it comes full circle when you ask Zoken, hey Pops, I know I left you, but I really need your help right now because I really want to impress this girl. What can you do for me? Zoken's looking like I ought to slap you right now. That's what I should do for you. But you know what? Since you left me like that, I want to watch you suffer. So Zoken did help him in the most miserable way possible. Gave him the worms, affected his body, affected his mind. Some of the greatest inner turmoil that we've seen in the series. That's what you wanted, right? You wanted to impress her. The floor is yours. You wanted the normal life, the big house with the picket fence, the wife, the kids, the dog. Here you go. And then you have the multiple times throughout the war where he tries to pose himself as the great guy in hopes that everything just works out. Case in point, when Ren was trying to save Kotane and Aoi finally got a chance to go looking for her, when everything was said and done, Kariya just comes creeping from behind the corner saying, yeah, I saved her. Don't worry, I'm always looking out for you guys. Pick me. Just weirdo behavior. But that's the light half of the spectrum. It got to a point where Kariya had to pay for his own sins in blood. See, the worms, like I mentioned before, affected his mind as well. So a lot of the things that were going on, it got to a point where he just wanted to make it happen. He didn't care. There's gonna be a lot of people that come out the wet works and say, oh, Kariya went through so much. Look how the worms were affecting his mind, his psyche. That's so sad. You know, the guys that always feel bad for the underdog with the horrible backstory. So sad for Kariya that imposed this on himself. We don't give a fuck. Boo-hoo, you went through something. And so does everybody else. Join the club. Because as much as the worms were affecting your being, you made it your intent to specifically go for Tokiomi throughout the entire war. Take down the guy that took Aoi from me. But you got a huge surprise in that church, didn't you? When you realized that Tokiomi was already dead. And Aoi starts to point the finger at you. Imagine the betrayal. All this stuff I'm doing for you and your children, and you're pointing the blame at me for something that I didn't even do. But that's just the thing, Kariya, you chose to do that. Nobody asked you to do that. The idea of you always being the loser, you couldn't take it. You snapped. But you knew what you were doing and choked out Ren's mother, leaving her crippled with brain damage. That's what you did. That's what you decided to do. So now this big plan for you to be stepdad, and yes, that was his plan. If you actually look at the scene, it makes it look like a mirage of him saving Ren and Sakura and them being a big family. Daddy Kariya. That's literally what it says. But this is just an illusion. This is what you wanted. The reality, you gotta look Sakura in the face and tell her, why did you choke her mother out? Because of your insecure ass feelings. But you supposed to be a man, right? I'm starting to feel like them. And that's why at the end of the story, when Kariya was sliding down into the worm pit, Sakura didn't even care. Not because Sakura was on some type of bad timing, that's a child. But evil begets more evil, and people can read energy. He may have been able to fool Sakura at the beginning of the war, but by the end, she could tell who he really was. Now that she's been in that worm pit long enough, she can feel the energy of evil. She sees right through you, Kariya. She even said it. You're dumb. It's very telling that Nasu had her say that. Out of all the things she could have said, you get what you came for. If you do the research on Kariya's design itself, how the worms started to consume half of his face and then progressively went over throughout the entirety of the war, like a Two-Face from Batman sort of deal, it's not just like that because of the worms. It was supposed to represent his duality as a character and how it slowly started to consume him, where he had some good intentions at the beginning, but then you see it start to cover his entire face. and it begins to show you who he really is. Don't believe that? Look at the Ironsburn consultation room when Lancelot himself was speaking on Kariya. Lancelot couldn't really say what was on his mind in the show. He could barely talk because of his class. But in the consultation room, he was like, yeah man, I don't know what's wrong with that dude. He has real issues. They actually call Kariya a pred, jokingly. Now we all know that Kariya isn't actually a pred, but his infatuation with Awie's children was what that was supposed to represent. Why are you so obsessed with these kids to the point where they called you this? And it's not just somebody translating the show and throwing some words on top of it. You know how they subbed the show and added to the video? That's not the case. Somebody literally animated calling Kariya a pred. And that's canon. And Nasu okayed it. That is bad. They called him a stalker. They called him broke despite him supposedly being this freelance writer, deflecting his obligations. And the most ironic of them all, Lancelot tells us that he's committed nearly every crime possible, including an attempted body, just to survive. For all that talk about a moral high ground, it sounds to me like you ended off worse as a person than you would have been had you stayed. Yet here you are pointing the finger at Tokiomi like you didn't. You know it's bad when you got me defending Tokiomi, but at least he owns it. You got the dream sequence where Lancelot is choking him out because Kariya can't even live with himself at this point. Oh, well, Emiya's fate is self-imposed. You feel bad for him. You're right. I do. Emiya's fate was self-imposed. But you know the big difference between Emiya and Kariya? Emiya ended up becoming one of the greatest fighters and heroes of all time. That's what he got. You know what Kariya got? He got cucked, which I don't even know how that's possible considering that that's not his girl. This is a new low. What happened to you, Kariya? I understand that you come from a no guardian household. Between him, Byakuya, and Shinji, they didn't really have any parents. All they had is one guardian, and I wouldn't even really call Zoken a father. You don't really hear anything about his mom, if anything at all. You just know that she existed at one point. Maybe that was the issue. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of people that didn't come from the perfect household and they still turned out great. So I can't even give you that excuse. And you know, for as much as Zoken tries to look down on Kariya, and of course most of that is because he did leave the Magecraft behind, but as much as he tries to look down on Kariya, he's the same way for different reasons. Majority of his involvement in the war and all that stuff he did prior was for Justice. So they're really more alike than you would like to give them credit for. You can try to say that the worms was affecting his mental, but that doesn't even really matter. He had already made a conscious decision to do what he did before that even took effect. You know what can be learned from his story? A lot of stuff can be avoided if you just mind your damn business, man. Just mind your business. You're supposed to be the quote-unquote good guy, and you're sitting on the sideline waiting for their relationship to fall through. And you had these intentions from the beginning. From the moment that you saw he got with her, you were envious. And you can feel how you want to feel, but at the end of the day, Tokiomi is the one that was rearranging her guts. Not you, brother. You gotta accept that. All that for you to be a freelance writer. Really? This dude out here looking for love, you ain't even got a job. You need to fall in love with the application, you hoe ass nigga. Fuck Kariya.